next meeting to order. Phyllis, if you would please roll call. Sorry. Here.
Phil Carbach.
Here.
Ken Meyer.
Here. Bill and Craig, you emailed a copy of our minutes from our October 17th meeting, and I believe you also emailed a copy from our executive session on November 2nd. If I could have a motion to approve one or both of those on one motion?
I'll make a motion to approve both of those in one motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, thank you. A lot of things. I count 16 things to get through this next hour and a half. So we won't waste any time. We start right out with the guys from American Structure Point. And Ann, to talk about our clarifier project, possible estimate on that, and whatever else you might tell us. This is from Bill Spike. He gave you one?
Yeah. We need a mic for those guys.
I'm sorry?
We need a mic.
Yeah, what happened? You can talk loud, but the recording won't pick it up if it's not there. You didn't know you were going to have to help set up the room, did you?
My pleasure. You got to plug it in too?
Yeah.
No, it's good. All right.
All right. Well, Board, Mayor, thank you for your time this evening. Before you is the request for your approval of the request for qualifications that will be going out for contractors to submit for the clarifier project that we discussed earlier.
These?
Yeah, those are there's two originals there for signature.
Okay.
We have made it through to the 30% design, reviewed that design with Ann and Berlin, Kevin and Dan. As of now, the 30% design, everything has a pretty large contingency on trying to determine cost, but as of now, with all the contingencies that are in, it's estimated about $1.1 million. We're still carrying, as I said, we're carrying a fairly high contingency because it is only at the 30%. With that, we'll be going out and getting the contractors to come in. They will help bring it to the full design, and a lot of this project, there's a lot of constructability, so they're going to be looking at finding ways they can save cost, making sure we can do it the most efficient way possible, and where the plant still gets a very high quality product at the end. And once that's determined, it would be, at that point, we would start determining if anything needs to be pulled out now or how everything's going to be funded. Then the contract would be signed once everything's settled with the contractor on that price. So while we're at a higher number now, it's still early. There's a lot of negotiation you have to go on, and then you're still not obligated until you get that guaranteed max price from the contractor, and then that contract's signed. That's when you become obligated. So still got plenty of time to work on what all this project's going to encompass.
Tim?
One question that I had, I reviewed the information that was sent out previously as far as the request for qualifications. Exhibit A wasn't attached to what I got, but that's here, and it provides the scope of work that's to be done. In addition, one question I did have on the qualifications, in the financial approach on page 7, 5A, it talks about the city may implement the capital improvements in several phases over a 3 to 5 year period. So is that...
You're allowed to phase projects with using the guaranteed savings, so having that line in there leaves that door open. So we put that in, so if you wanted to phase it over a multi-year period, you can, versus taking it out and forcing it to where it was all done at one time.
Okay, my next question then is, are we financing this through a bond issue, or are we doing this through operating revenues?
I don't think we're gonna get a bond, but we'll have to figure out when we have more of a final figure, I think, get Kevin involved, and
Okay, well,
we're not sure, but we really don't want to do a bond.
well, I'm not
because
saying
it's so
just for this
expensive.
project. If are we talking about, because we have other projects that we're looking at doing, my
I
question
guess
is,
it
are you...
depends. It's kind of urgent with this tank repair, and if we're going to phase 4 with the CSO project, if it's another year or two away, pushing it with that tank.
Okay, because in the case of a bond issue, you're going to be more limited in terms of when the project has to be completed than going out 5 years. That's why I'm asking. So if you're not planning on using bond proceeds to do this project, that would have to be done within a shorter period than 5 years, then this language is okay. But if we're looking to fund this through a bond issue and it has to be done closer to 3 years instead of 5, then we probably need to modify that language.
Mhm.
Okay? That's the only question I
If
have.
we don't go bond, how do you do it? How do we pay it?
I'm assuming if we don't bond this, then it's going to come out of operating revenues?
Probably, I don't know. I guess one of these firms can even finance for a couple of years. One of the
Some of
four
the
that's
contractors that
eligible.
are also, they've gotten where now they're financing short-term, these type projects, so that's an option, just a short-term borrow. So once that cost gets finalized, it's where
Or
we've worked with
if
Kevin.
we can stretch it out over a long enough period, maybe get the urgent stuff done first, and use operating money and maybe work the rest in later. I'm just not sure how it's gonna work out.
Kevin?
Yeah, I don't think the bond issue is what we're really looking at as of now.
Okay.
My thinking is a portion might be funded out of the operating fund, and then some sort of short-term financing, still need to look into. to see
Okay.
what-
Which would then be paid off, the debt service would be paid off out of operating revenues
Yes,
then?
yes.
Okay. For the board's benefit, you understand that this is just a little bit different than what you'd normally do. It's a cost-saving contract, so basically, if you recall, 30% of the engineering work has been done, and now you're going to hire a contractor to finish that. That's when they will fine-tune it, working with American Structure Point and Ann, and then they will develop the final scope of work, the costs associated with that work, and then we would enter into a contract at that point. And it would spell out whether it's going to be phased in over a 3-year, 5-year period, or whether it's going to be done all at once. So, and at that point, you would address how you're going to pay for it at that point.
At that point, once you have your final contract.
Right.
Okay. So what do we need tonight? Do we need a signature this evening? Do we?
You would be approving the advertisement for bid,
Okay.
and those advertisements will go out in the paper on, at this point, Friday, this week, and next Friday. We've got
And that's what you have there,
and then
Tim?
there's a 30-day period.
Right. Once you approve this and authorize the advertising, then on November 15th, there's going to be a mandatory pre-proposal meeting.
When?
On November 15th. And as I understand, there's 4 contractors within the state that are
That's
qualified to
correct.
do this type of work.
Correct.
So, of those 4, if only 2 show up, then those 2 are going to be qualified to submit a bid. If all 4 do, then that keeps open the door for all 4 to bid. On December 18th, there will be proposals received from the contract providers, and then
I don't know why I would.
by January 26th, the contract provider will be selected. and the date for construction completion tentatively is October 31st, 2018, unless it gets phased out.
I'll be here on the 15th for that.
Yes, you are.
No, thank you. All right. So I just need a motion to...
So you need a motion to approve the specifications to be advertised and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf, and, well, I guess all three board members sign it, so.
Go ahead and make the motion.
Yeah, I'll make, I'll make that motion.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
whatever Tim said.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And we'll sign these.
Request for qualifications. Okay. Sign it.
There's two. I assume you get one, we keep one?
Correct, and then we'll take the signed page and make copies of that for the packets for the contractors.
One more?
Nope, just two.
Just two.
Copy this one before.
Mm-hmm.
You can sign it too. All right. Anything else we got for you tonight?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Mr. Slake, you're up.
All right,
Good news, huh?
good news. We're wrapping up.
Yep.
We're at the end of this phase. Let's see, notes. First thing, we got our final quantities, and I have the change order. I just wanted to kind of touch base on this and go over where we are, and I'll keep it very quick. So, our final quantities for the project bring a reduction to where we were in the change orders of $143,725.21. This is what was agreed to. We finally got the total numbers all worked out. So that then brings the project to a net change of an increase of $61,118.22, and the total is $2,774,578.12. So that is the change order form is there. Phyllis has that for authorization to do that and to take care of that part of it. I don't know, do you want a quick kind of overview of how this compares planning wise and stuff?
You probably need approval.
Yeah, you'll need an authorization for that one if you want to wait. I'll wait.
Need a motion for this document here?
Change order.
Change order?
Change order 13.
Change order number 13. Just need a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thanks.
Okay. Overall, very quickly, when we had done the planning for this in 2014 and 15, the costs that were prepared for this were between, I'm going to say, $3.6 and $4 million. That's the way it was planned out for the options that were selected. Clark Dietz prepared their engineer's opinion. Their estimate was $3.6 million. The bids came in at $2,713,578.12. $459 and change. We added the $61,918 as a net total change orders with various additions and deductions through the project. That brings the actual total on the form to $2,774,500 and change that I mentioned.
Say it again, Bill, 2 million?
It was $2,774,578.12 to be fully exact. And then there was also, when we did change order 2, and Phyllis said this, she believed this was taken care of, but that was the water main extension that we did we approved it, I think, last September, and they were replacing pipes instead of supporting some very old cast iron pipes, and that was being split with the water utility. So there'd be about $26,500 that should have been come back from that, which would kind of lower the actual net out of the project funds for this. So that's just sort of an overview of how you made out. I think you got a lot of bang for the buck on the project.
Yeah.
With the authorization of the change order, we have pay application 14, which is the actual, hold on, that is the actual final quantity change order, or final quantity pay application, which pays the rest of what is owed less retainage, and we'll need an authorization for this. So that pay application is for $43,626.70.
43,626.70, that's final pay application, that's pay app number 14?
Pay app 14.
Okay, you want a motion for that now?
Well, unless you want me to read the other one, because then we also have, they've completed all the punch list items.
Okay.
We have brought the other drawings along, the as-built drawings along, and then we need another one to release the retainage that's left. So if you want to do the one, and then I'll read the other one. You don't have to keep track of 2 sets of numbers.
Okay. Motion to approve paying pay app number 14, final pay app for $43,626.70.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Okay.
Bill, go ahead.
And then pay application 15, which is just the release of the retainage. These are funds that have been put in escrow to make sure all the punch list items are addressed, and everything's been taken care of. Jeremy's happy with everything, so we've got the drawings, and that is a total of $46,653.03.
Okay, so this would be pay app number 15, and it's the release of the retainage. The amount is $46,653.03, and if I could have a motion to pay that one.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then just a real quick update, since I'm speeding through this. The monitoring, as you know, wrapped up in September. All the data for that looked good. We are progressing through the model calibration, and I'm talking with Sujatha tomorrow, and we'll talk to Jim and some others in the office on Thursday probably about how that calibration is going within the software. But everything's looking very, very well set up to begin running some different analyses for the evaluation of alternates, to get to, first to see where you are compared to where you were. So we first come up with how much this has actually improved the system towards our goal, and then once we see that, we'll start putting together some alternatives we'll generate a report and start having some alternatives for you.
Okay.
Bill, the alternatives, would that require a modification to the long-term control plan?
No, this was planned. Phase 4 was part of this, with the amended agreed order, I believe is the right term. This was planned, and we're actually still several months ahead of schedule. for getting through this and getting the report done. I'm hoping we can keep you guys about 5 or 6 months ahead of the requirements as far as this goes, and come up with some good alternatives and get from there, start moving into a good design so you can wrap up. But, you know, with where we are, you have, I guess there's some bond left. I don't remember. I was involved, but Nate was the one more in charge of the bond issue, so I'm not sure where that is with how much you had.
We have several projects within that.
That's right, there were several, and this was a couple of them, and I don't know how that all worked out, but...
I think the reduction in the cost of this project allowed us to pursue some of the other projects that were listed in the bond ordinance. I don't think that you're going to end up having a lot of money left over from the bond issue. It's going to be used for various projects
And I
that
don't know
are
that we
identified.
weren't planning on having any left.
Right.
It's just you've accomplished more for the money that you had, so
Right.
that's always a good thing.
Yep.
Or was it even that much?
You know?
Do you have any idea, fellas? Was it 100,000 or a couple 100,000 left?
How much was it? Any idea?
Yeah, for the bond.
Need to tell me.
How much is left?
I can't tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I'm really not that interested in telling you.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as wrapping this up, I know there's a little bit of paperwork. You had used the e-com software, and the last couple of months we've just kind of been emailing because it's like one person to me and one back to one person, and we've got to push a few things out into that, and then you'll get your record copy of all the items there. I just got to go through and make sure that's done, and on this stuff, you'll get final copies tomorrow because I need, once that's signed, the change order is signed, I'll need a copy of that to attach to the application tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I'll get you the final copies of all that stuff.
Is that the only document you got, the change order?
I think so, yeah. Just that one page, because then I got to compile everything as far as that goes, so.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Yep.
You're welcome. Trying to keep you moving.
All right, thanks. In the council meeting later, we're going to introduce an ordinance in reference to utility bills and whose names those will be in. But for now, we visited this back in August, and that was the list of past due utility customers that were 5 years old and uncollectible. We still have that list, and unfortunately, we still have to write that list off. And even after we do this in the council meeting tonight, we'll still have another 4 to 5 years of write-offs that will be significant before this will actually kick in. I have my original copy, if you want to give them a copy again.
We can share.
I got plenty.
Okay, thanks.
I'll take a new one. So what we have is, on the last page, grand total of write-offs, 5 years old, $25,334.90. And that represents, I'm going to guess, well over 100 accounts.
2011-12.
Yeah, and that goes back to the years 2011 and 12. So, I need a motion to approve this write-off so that we can proceed with that and move on.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And I will pass my copy down, and if you guys want to sign that, we'll send it back to Phyllis.
I'm going to just
R3, tier 3.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. You want to sign 2 of those, maybe?
Can?
2 of them.
How many you want signed?
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I signed 2 already. That one's blank.
Okay.
Jeremy, you want to come up here next? As
You want me to sign 3 or 2?
reviewing the policy at Riverside Center for
I think the mayor
Alcohol.
hasn't signed there yet.
He signed up. Oh, okay.
He signed an additional.
There we go.
Wait a minute, that one's not done yet. He's got that one there, it's going to be 3 of them.
Do you want that copy?
There's one for Phyllis, that's all I care about.
If you want us to sign it, I will.
Nope, I'm good, I got what I need.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at the last Board of Works meeting, we talked about the contract for Riverside Center and alcohol consumption and the overall contract for rental and what's necessary as far as bartenders, law enforcement, etc. And we were all to review that. Craig, I think, did you have...
Yeah, I just, there's certain, what do you want me to say, non-for-profits that are community, meaning, for example, if Main Street or the Chamber has a summer concert series out here and we have to change the venues,
Because of a rain date, automatic
situation,
change it.
when it's a free thing to all in the city, do we really have to, I'm hoping that we can maybe ignore the fees for the Riverside Center.
Well, I would
because
suggest that nonprofits be put in there, that maybe it's half of that, to actually state for nonprofits. The school system has rental for buildings set up that way, that for a nonprofit, you're not charging as much.
Normally for nonprofits, we don't charge for the actual space out there, like meetings and such.
Okay. But shouldn't that be stated as opposed to just...
You guys, that's what we're here for, reviewing.
I'm in a rush this afternoon, I didn't bring my copy, so...
Oh, here.
Yeah, here's this one.
Thank you.
Okay. But I agree with you, Craig.
Well, yeah, the reason I say that is because those organizations have teamed up with the city to make sure that our insurance for host liquor liability and coverage is at least already working with the city with the same.
Like the sculpture tour would be another group. And they actually did have an event there this last summer.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in that situation, I would just ask for an exception.
Okay, the rental agreement for the Riverside Center itself, which is a separate agreement, shows the prices of the various halls, if you want to use them. And I don't see anything in here where it alleviates some people from not having to pay. But you say we have been dismissing not-for-profits from this. So is that just kind of be a discretionary thing?
Through Ryan.
Through Ryan? Ryan?
Actually, through the board, it goes in front of the board on like a case-by-case basis.
Okay. So the original rental agreement, that's not new. This is the original, this is the agreement we've been using. The only thing that's new is this right here. And this, yeah. Who?
Okay. Well, I sent it to the insurance company, because I didn't know if you guys had or not, but I just sent it to them. I haven't heard back from them if they had any questions on it.
Been in circulation for probably 2.5 months or so.
Yeah, it's been around. Personally, I think it's good to go. I think as far as Craig's question, I mean, I kind of agree with him and Wiley and on that. And if we just want to kind of leave that as an unwritten...
Sure, we get the insurance company.
Yeah, pending the okay of the...
Yeah, a couple of comments that I had. And the first is a very minor thing. We're on the front page of the rental agreement form, event with alcohol. It just says disclaimer. You probably ought to put disclaimer / indemnification, because there's indemnification language in the body of that paragraph. The second thing, though, is if I read this correctly, the insurance that you're requiring, it comes from the bartender. Is that correct? on the second page, it says, please attach the following documents, and it says, copy of bartending service insurance, and then it says 1 million coverage. Okay. Are we getting any kind of insurance from the renters themselves? Is there some, or are we just simply relying on our own coverage?
I think it was just relying on our own.
Okay, because
the actual liability coverage was coming from the bartender because you were requiring a licensed bartender license and insured bartender
right,
to provide the service.
But if somebody that is setting up for an event, the renter comes in and they set up the place, put up whatever displays or materials or whatever, if they do something negligently and that causes an injury, my point is that all we have to fall back on then is the indemnification language. If they don't have anything to back it up, then we're going to be ultimately liable. So I don't know if we just have enough coverage or we're fine with relying upon that, or if we need to require somebody to provide something else. Okay. And that's just a comment that I want to share and make sure that everybody understands that. The other thing is, Jenny, do you have this form or?
I do not.
Okay. On the fees, it says the fee for events serving alcohol is $100 per hour with a 3-hour minimum. The required deposit is $200 to reserve the event a date. Full payment must be made 7 days prior to the event. This fee is in addition to the room rental fee.
Which is on that other contract.
So they sign a separate agreement that talks about the room rental agreement, and then this is over and above that. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
because if you're not having alcohol, you're just filling out the one, but if you're having alcohol,
You have to do all of them.
You're filling out both.
Okay, all right,
That's why there's two separate agreements.
okay. I was a little confused by that because I wasn't sure what it was saying, but if you got a separate agreement.
Not everybody's going to have alcohol.
Right, okay.
If there's any changes or any amendments you want made, just mark it up on there. Melissa has it, I believe either on her laptop or her computer. She can just change it quick and then...
Well, a disclaimer of them, yeah,
Well,
that's it.
there's another angle here too, just to bring this up, if you don't mind. For the nonprofits, most of these clubs, I know that we have got, you could alleviate the issue of the fee if it's for the betterment of all indicator, if it's a similar thing like that, is if they do have host liquor liability insurance and have claimed the city as an additional insured. Then I would say that you would be able to mark away the fees for the non-profits, because I do know the Optimists do that. I believe the Rotary does that, and I know we do as Chamber and Main Street. I think that might help us with that issue, because host liquor liability and then making the city additional insured basically takes away that liability that Tim would be talking about.
I can just take it back to the park board next week.
Is that okay?
We can table
You like that?
Yeah, as long as, when you say host insurance, is it covering just the bartender services, or is it covering more?
Well, first of all, you have additionally insured with the city, which basically means you're you know what that means.
Yeah.
It means an additionally
Right.
insured, and then you're also taking some of the responsibility away from the guy that's actually serving the alcohol because it's your event. It's called host liquor liability insurance.
But what I'm saying, Craig, is I'm not so concerned. I mean, you've already addressed the liability issue with the bartender. Okay? It's liability for something that occurs unrelated to the alcohol service. So if somebody sets up a display and the display collapses and falls on somebody and they have a broken leg or a concussion or whatever, and there's medical expenses, that bartender license insurance isn't going to cover that.
Right, but the additional insured would.
Well, the additional insured only covers you under what is a covered event under that policy. So if that policy is limited only to somebody going out and being involved in an accident after they were served liquor, then it protects the city as an additional insured for that covered event.
Okay.
Okay, but if it's strict liability unrelated to alcohol use, that's not necessarily a protection under that coverage, because it's not a covered event. Then our own coverage would apply. Okay? So all I'm saying is, we can include the indemnification language, I wouldn't take that out, but if somebody that's giving us the indemnification doesn't have the means to back up that indemnification, then that language is meaningless. That's all I'm saying.
The holiday list.
Okay?
So, per your suggestion there, I think maybe we do table it tonight, you let the park board look at it, that gives us time to let Graber take a look at this and make sure that we're okay with them. Does that sound right to you, Phyllis? So with that, I'd take a motion for us to table this until the next meeting. Okay.
Yep. Second.
Motion and a second to table the policy for alcohol at Riverside Center until our next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
I hope it doesn't get tabled too far till Christmas, because a lot of people are going to have Christmas parties.
We don't want to do this until we know we got it right.
Yeah.
Next up, I have our list of holidays for the year 2018.
May have copy for Bill and Craig.
Here's a copy for Bill and Craig.
Do you know what date?
And I'll just read off the holidays. These are the same as we've had this year. Monday, January 1st for New Year's. Monday, February 19th, President's Day. Friday, March 30th, which is Good Friday. Monday, May 28th, Memorial Day. Wednesday, July 4th, Independence Day. No, that was a Wednesday, I'm sorry. Monday, September 13th, or September 3rd, Labor Day. Monday, October 8th, Columbus Day. Monday, November 12th, Veterans Day. Thursday, November 22nd, Thanksgiving Day. Friday, November 23rd, the following day after Thanksgiving. Monday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Tuesday, the 25th, Christmas Day. And Monday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 holidays for city employees. This is the same as we've had in the past. I just need a motion to make this a matter of record, or approve it and make it a matter of record.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. You need me to sign that or anything? Okay. Did you want something, a matter of record for the insurance letter regarding the gauge?
Phyllis received.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
What this is on the gauge disannexation lawsuit, we received a letter of reservation from EMC, which is our insurance carrier. Basically what that means is they've made an initial determination that there's a duty to defend the city, but they're still reviewing whether or not they have any obligation to pay damages, should damages be assessed as a result of that litigation. So it's kind of a CYA letter that they're sending out on their part.
You want to explain CYA?
I'm not going to go into great detail.
I think
It's protecting them.
he went far enough.
We will have to pay $5,000, that's our deductible. to
Yeah,
hire a
if, regardless, we're on the hook for at least that if they spend that much, depending.
So this is a letter explaining all of that, and I...
One time, Tim doesn't go into detail.
One time! I'll have to tell John Schultz that one. So we just need to make this a matter of record.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Make this letter a matter of record. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Thank you. Kevin, you want to talk about capital improvement plan for the water plant? Did you have that down to talk about next week?
Next meeting, yes.
Take that off there. Phyllis, you have farm agreements that we need to sign. These are for the farmland that the city owns that we lease out. And we took the bids, approved them at the last meeting. These are just the contracts.
Have to go to work to sign them, and then I'll send them to the farmers, and they can sign them.
Okay?
The 450 north one, or no, I think it was 600 east. What is this one?
Thanks. For the location you're looking for? 600 north, 51.75 acres, $170.50 an acre by Workinger Farms, Dan Workinger. So, I don't need any motion, we just need signatures. Okay, we just need to sign these tonight. One copy of each. Okay, and then the other one is the 450 North Farm, which is 27.65 acres. The high bid was Frichty Farms, Kim and Craig Frichty, at $245 an acre. So we'll sign this one here as well.
And these are 3-year leases.
3-year leases, we won't do it again for 3 more years. Good deal. Okay, next thing I have up is...
Can I have one question?
Sure.
One.
Yep.
When we put the well lanes in,
The what?
the well lanes, we do have some crop damage out.
That's been added.
Dan Workinger had contacted me on Friday, wanting to know, basically, if it's all right with you guys, he just wants to get with me and measure what was
Lost.
taken up, and then he's gonna accept whatever acreage he we come up with, if that's satisfactory for works, for the deduction.
Works good.
So I told him I wanted to ask you guys about that tonight before we went any further.
By consensus? By consensus, we okay there? Yep.
Yes, I think that was addressed in the
Yep.
lease agreement,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, we talked about that, I just wanted to run it by you guys before we
Yeah.
authorize that
Sounds good.
deduction.
Do you need a copy of the contract?
Next thing is on our flood buyout properties on Meadow Lane. The first closing is this Thursday, and I will not be able to attend, so I just need the Board of Works okay to allow Phyllis to sign in my place this Thursday.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. Patronicity document, do we need to even have it on here, or we just need to sign it? You want to comment on it, Danny?
Previously, we reviewed this agreement, I raised some questions, Melissa contacted Patronicity, got some responses back. Basically, the big issue that I see is there's a provision in there that says that
We'll do that fringe.
either party can unilaterally terminate this agreement for no cause. But then there's also a provision that says if that happens and it's terminated by Patronicity and they've paid us money under the agreement, we have to return the money back to them, which I don't necessarily like. I don't understand why that language is even in there, but as a practical matter, it's a state form and they're not going to change it. So they have assured Melissa that the reason it's in there would only, the only time it would be exercised is if we committed fraud or failed to complete the project within the time frame that we're required to.
Do we meet all the requirements?
Pardon?
Do we meet all the requirements for the contract?
Yes, but this agreement spells out that we're required to follow up. There are certain requirements on the part of the city that we have to follow through in terms of record keeping, and there's a question about any time this is brought up, we're supposed to acknowledge Patronicity's contribution towards the project. They said we don't have to make a big deal of it, but do give recognition. They don't have to pre-approve press releases or anything of that nature, but they want to be recognized for their involvement in assisting in getting this project completed. Melissa, I don't know if you want to comment on any other things, but those are
I will say
the
that
highlights.
this has been a long time coming. The questions that Tim and we posed to the state and to Patronicity, no one had asked these questions
Yep.
in any other community. So
Just ask it.
we stumped them on a couple questions, and so that's why it's taken so long to get the answers back.
Tim stumped them.
I wasn't trying to, I was just trying to make sure we understood what we were signing.
Right.
Good job.
That's all.
So this is the contract here, Melissa?
Yeah.
And am I the only one that has to sign it?
Please.
You guys give me the okay to sign this?
Yeah, I would approve the contract and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
So should we say something, at the council meeting to thank them for...
yeah. They're not going to see our minutes or anything, so.
Will this release the money?
It starts the process to release the money, yes.
Thank you, man.
That's what I'm saying, at
No,
council.
once the money,
Once we have the cash.
Yeah.
Wait for the money to show up.
Yeah.
Say, hey, thank you.
Just this one page right here, right? Does Phyllis get this, or do you?
I'm going to take it back and
That's
scan
what
an
you
email,
would
and I'll
think.
make copies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The patronicity thing worked out really well. It was $50,000. It was added to our donations of $50,000, which actually turned down to $72,000, I think. So altogether, we got about $122,000 put toward the plaza, which is great. Next, this up here on the board, and Melissa, I'm going to have you come back up here and kind of zoom in and zoom out, maybe to the east, to the west, north, and south. We've been talking a little bit. Recently, we had a piece of property, the old Neidlinger farm, out just west of our newest industrial park, that was it was purchased actually, and then the guy got his money back because it was a farm, and it did have a barn, and it did have a place for animals. But that was in the past. That was before we built our industrial park there, and we literally have a drain in that field, probably 15 feet from the border of that property. And because of that, the variance for this person to buy the land and put animals there was denied by the county. The property is in the county, and it borders our city property. So this is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. I think Don went down and visited with Byrne and found out that Byrne has had this in place since the 1960s. But what this would be a fringe planning and zoning area that would not be in the city limits, but yet would extend the city borders for zoning and planning and development. And it would prohibit a farmer from locating right next to a city property where literally everything on that land drains into the fields that we own. So you see the city, you see that's kind of highlighted in it looks to me like orange, and then the fringe area that we're talking about is the yellow area. So I don't care where you start, but zoom in so we can kind of see it. To the north, it probably has more residential area than any other area. It will take in the area going out, I guess you call it Monmouth Road. What's that called out there? Chapel Chase? That big development that's out there close, just before you get to Monmouth on the west side of the road.
Like the zoo.
So it will take in that. It will go all the way out to... It'll go all the way out to downtown Monmouth. Yeah, the fringe area.
Is that Kunkel?
I don't know, who's Kunkel?
Bunch of cows there right at Monmouth on 27.
Across from Monmouth, across 27 straight,
Go back to the north there.
850 if you take it
I know what you
straight
mean.
across.
I moved them in, okay.
No, it would not. If you see there up at the very top, come on down. Yeah, up at the top, that would be right at Monmouth. And then you see US 27. It comes all the way down south then to Bungie area.
Being this
Yeah,
area right in
yeah.
there.
Thank you, Don. Follow along that. Follow whoever's doing that.
Yeah.
Follow along to the west now. And then,
So here would be the fringe. We're running down.
What county road's that?
that right there,
Is that 750?
he's on 200 right now. That's County Road 200
Yeah.
north.
Well, I'm at the North Brown Road. Is that 750?
That,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And 200 going north and south.
200 west.
Yep. And it goes all the way down to whatever that county road is. That's what, just south of Yost Woods, am I right? Yeah.
Yes.
300, something like that?
300, I believe it
Yeah.
was.
And it goes over to the east. You follow along with the mouse there. Comes down, follows over to the east for a mile, then jogs down
I see.
south a little bit more.
Yeah, it comes down and then,
Scroll down some. Yep. Come on down.
that's as far as it'll go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and that's the road that's 1 mile, that's the road just south of Yost Woods. You can see Yost, or Oak Ridge, whatever you want to call it, is the housing subdivision right smack dab in the middle at the bottom of the screen. So it takes in the country, whatever they called that,
The trailer park.
country acres, whatever, that takes in Yost Woods, and then going to the east, southeast, it gets over as far as Salem Road, and will take in some of the area going southeast on Salem Road.
Out by the old drive-in area.
The old, yeah, out by the old drive-in, correct. So there's not a lot of subdivisions, if you will, in this area. It's mostly farmland, but there are, you know, along Salem Road, the Oak Ridge addition south of Decatur, the old Yost Woods, and then the area going out Monmouth Road, whatever that's called out there again, I can never remember. Yeah, that, and the one just Chapel Chase, yeah, that area.
And this also gives us control of some of these pockets we have in town there. You know, if we have
Yeah, it
pockets.
would be, yeah,
You can see the orange or the red is, there's a lot of pockets
yep.
that,
That we then would have jurisdiction over the zoning and planning within those pockets, which is a good thing. So, I just wanted to show this tonight, if anyone has any questions or comments, and then I need to turn to Mr. Baker and Kurt in the back of the room.
Well, I can tell you that the city of Bern acquired the fringe zone authority long before the existing statute was in place. So it was much easier to do it then than it is now. Secondly, if you're going to expand that, then we assume jurisdiction over planning and inspections throughout the fringe zone area. It's probably going to necessitate looking very closely at adding additional staffing to the building and planning department to cover the additional workload. In terms of how you go about doing it, first of all, it needs to be included in your comprehensive plan. Secondly, it's going to require the consent by an ordinance adopted by the county commissioners. After the county plan commission has held a public hearing on the proposal, a request for flood or fringe zoning can be made either by more than 50% of owners within an area, or by the county plan commission, or by the city plan commission. But the reason that it requires the county's approval is that we do not provide services throughout the fringe zone area. If we did, we wouldn't have to get the county's authority or approval to do it. But because we don't, we have to by statute. This has been looked at least twice that I'm aware of in the last 15 years, and in each instance, county officials were not in favor of approving it. And I think in part because they'd received some pushback from farmers who were concerned about the city imposing rules and regulations that would hinder their ability to use their farm ground as they see fit. So I'm not saying that it won't be something that we can do, but I'm telling you that it's something that we can't do on our own.
So,
Understand.
A question within, so inside that zone, you can still have animals, just not a large operation?
No, you can still have animals. It's more for building permits.
It protects you from all your little areas in the city. We have so many areas that go city, county, you know, Winchester Street, Winchester Road.
Yeah.
Now, you have city on both sides. If the county didn't want to work with you, and they approved a large hog operation right in the middle of your city, there ain't nothing you can do about it. You know?
Do we need the jurisdiction?
That's why it helps you by having this fringe, because then it has to go in front of the planning commission.
Right.
It has to apply by all of our MS4 rules for the sewer systems,
Right.
the stormwater drainage and such. Greg, would you like to have a cattle farm in your backyard at the golf course?
Right now, you could.
Which could very easily happen. They could go on the backside of the Sullivan property within a
Confined feeding.
5,000 hog or head hog operation. The only thing we could do is about it.
Right, and I think what you want to do is sit down with the county officials initially and discuss it with them to see how receptive they are to it.
Well, after the other night, their comment was, you guys need to fix this, because it's going to get
Was that the commissioners or was that the plan
The
commission?
plan.
The
That's
plan
commission.
Yeah.
The,
It's going to get worse.
the other thing is with those regional sewer district thing going on now, I think that might make the commissioners more receptive.
You just have to protect yourself. The
I understand.
biggest thing,
Right.
the mayor of the city of Burton says, you have to protect your community.
Right.
Do you want this potentially in your city limits?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly merit to doing it.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether there's going to be a willingness on the other side to agree to it.
Yeah, I hope there is. I mean, they don't want to hassle with it
They
either.
don't want to deal with it.
Do we need complete jurisdiction of it? Can we leave the county have the jurisdiction, but have the city be involved in any decision that's being made in the fringe area?
That's kind of where it was left a couple years ago when Neil Ogg was the building and planning inspector, when the city considered doing that, and there was no willingness on the part of the county to be supportive of it. What we did talk to Neil about was, look, if you get something that's proposed fairly close to the city, give us a heads up, let us take a look at things. If we have issues, we can bring them to your attention, or we can be in attendance at the meeting and raise those concerns. And Neil was pretty good about that, but again,
The other night, we had, what, 3 hours?
yeah,
4 hours?
I'm sure you
Neil's not there
did.
anymore.
Neil wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, so, times have changed.
I know. And it changes with people.
Right.
So, you know, we can certainly sit down with the county officials,
Well, I think
commissioners
that's what
in
we do, Tim.
particular.
I think you and I, and maybe Mark Burry and Doug Baum need to sit and talk sometime
Yeah,
and go from there.
yep.
So what is this, what are we bringing up here? We're just
I just
introducing this?
wanted to show everyone the fringe area and to answer your question, Matt, like, no, if a guy already has animals, it's no big deal. This is just to prevent anyone wanting to doing anything at the border of the city from bringing animals
You
that
still have the
drainage.
choice to say, okay, we're going to allow this guy because he's on the very edge of the fringe, you
Yeah.
know, if he wants to have 3 horses or something, but the guy wants to put 500 head of hog on the other side of the golf course, you can't stop it right now.
I just didn't want, I'm not as good at following these maps, but for example, Kunkel here, just north of town, had a lot of cows for a long time.
But he would be exempt because he's already existing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
No.
what you're seeing more and more and more is you're seeing more and more Amish moving.
Yeah.
Closer to town.
Mhm.
And eventually they will be in the city limits.
If
And
the
on the
room-
outskirts.
I was trying to-
And all these little gray areas. You know, the annexation laws, like Jim will tell you, have been so tough and made so tough the last several years. So this is your own protector. If you're not going to go annex all these whole pockets to help control this,
I was trying not to say the A word, but that's okay.
well,
It's
no,
fact, it's fact.
but it's just an example, you know.
So, that's all for this, and like I said, Tim and I'll get back from my trip and we schedule something with them. So, thank you on that.
I'm not a big note taker. I can do the highlights.
Either they have or we have it.
Trust me, if you ever need it.
Next thing I have up is there any paper that goes along with this dedication of the sewer line?
A couple years back, Brent Arnold approached the city about the possibility of paying for a sewer extension. Runs out to the old Grey Goose area and along the county road there. He agreed to front the cost of installation of that. The plans were submitted to IDEM and approved. He constructed the sewer. It's been in operation now for over a year. And I'm assuming we haven't had any issues or problems with it. Is that correct? So typically, what happens is the city accepts the improvements and makes it and takes it into our system, and at that point we assume the liability or responsibility for ongoing maintenance and repairs. In this case, it was never dedicated, so this is a dedication of that sanitary sewer line that's been signed by Brent Arnold, and then it needs to be accepted by the Board of Works. You need to authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the board, and then I'll notarize his signature, and this document gets recorded so that it's of record that that is now part of our sewage system, sewage collection
You're not
system.
talking about a ceremony for dedication?
No.
No, there should just,
No.
And Don and Ann and Jeremy, now the work where that runs is the county sewer district. Are they going to attempt to make some of those homes tap into this then? That's kind of a long term, and then he'll be able to recoup some of his money.
He has an agreement already in place that to the extent that somebody ties into his system or to the system that he paid for, he gets reimbursed on a prorated basis.
How big's the line? Did you say how big the line was?
That area was included in the original 54 letters that we sent out. How many years?
Yeah. I don't know how big a line it is, but it can accommodate all of the homes along that county road that currently are not hooked up to a public system.
Yep.
6 or 8 homes down there.
Right.
Yep.
And it's up to the health department to now inform them that it's their responsibility to tie in.
Sounds good. Do you need a motion?
Need a motion to approve the dedication and authorize the mayor to sign it.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the dedication of the sewer line. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you.
I think this was, he went and did this with our permission.
No, he did. This was all done with Nate. He did another tap
Yeah.
without our permission. Right. That was a different issue.
Jeremy, I had this down here as a maybe. Did you want to review the speed limits in the school zone, or you're not ready for that, right? Okay. Man, we are blowing through this stuff. Go ahead.
All right, I took a look at that. I'm not sure that we can extend the speed limits beyond where they are right now. The statute says that it has to be in reasonable proximity, and typically where we have our speed zones now are enforceable, but if you're talking about extending it all along East Monroe Street or all along Pickway Road, you're going to have a hard time enforcing it based on the statute. So I'm not sure how much further you can do it. You can change the speed zone 5 miles without a study. So you could reduce the speed from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour, and it's still within the the school zone, it would reduce to 20 miles an hour when children are present. So you could do that. Right. You could do that without a study. Otherwise, if you're going to reduce the speed, the length of Pickway or East Monroe, you have to do an actual study to justify the speed reduction. You can't just do it whatever you think it should be.
We have it in our ordinance to go from Aug Street all the way down to Pickwa Road.
Because it's immediately adjacent to the school.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's in our ordinance now.
Right, but you can't extend it down
Down
to
Pickwa Road?
Pickway, down to Pickwa, or you can't take the speed zone all the way down to US 224
Right.
without doing a study. The one thing you can do is you can reduce it 5 miles an hour without a study if you wanted to do that.
I think that would be sufficient to begin with, so.
That I&M easement area, do you have that? We ready to move on here? For now? Okay.
Yeah.
Next thing I have is the I&M, AEP, whatever we call them nowadays. They had to purchase a very small little strip of land. It's back in there behind
Parkway Plaza and between Hannah Park and Parkway.
between along hole number 3 of the golf course, between that and the businesses along there, Adam Lemrick's Chiropractor is whatever. They'd already purchased from us an easement a couple of years ago for their utilities that they were running there, and they needed one more little, it was like a fraction, very small fraction of an acre. We approved it a while back, but this is just making this a matter of record, the supplemental easement and right-of-way document that...
I think it had the acreage somewhere.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere. It's .926 total acres, and they're paying us, this is the amount they're paying us, right? $2,705 for that easement. And I just need to make this a matter of record. It's all been signed and everything, just making it a matter of record.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. That takes me down to police officers, and we swore in a new officer last week, Joel Jackson. Joel was with the Sheriff's Department, left the Sheriff's Department and went 2 years with the Sheriff's Department, yeah. And then went down to Bern. He's been working for the city of Bern, and we hired him from the Bern Department. We don't have to take him to the academy or anything. So we swore him in last week. He's good to go effective November 1st. And I need to make this certificate of appointment a matter of record, and then I have the Board of Works assign it.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. So I'm going to sign this. I'll pass it down to you all. And then in the same, another motion, then I need to make his conditional employment contract, which is a contract we have all new officers sign, a matter of record.
So moved.
Second. You have any questions, Craig? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. You both need to sign this. There's 2 copies there, I believe. There's that back. And that takes us down to the last thing. And that is with Lenny's appointment to the next chief of police. Last week we had an executive Board of Works session and interviewed 4 exceptional candidates for Lenny's detective position. And we took as many things into consideration in making this decision as possible, including their tenure, their work records, comments from current staff, comments from former staff, comments from elected officials, both city and county. And with that, I think that we We weren't allowed to make a decision in that executive session, but we had very good discussion. Lenny, Greg, and Mike were all here, and with that, I think we're prepared to make a motion for that position, and if so, I will make that motion.
Can I just make...
Comments? Go ahead.
I'd like to point out that all 4 candidates that came before the Board of Directors, or Board of Works, were very, very good, very, very capable. Each one of them would be capable of being a detective. I think as a Board of Directors, or Board of Works, Board of Directors, I'm thinking church. As a Board of Works, it's our responsibility to pick the best candidate at this time to do the job. And I'd like to point out that each one of the candidates are in a different phase in their careers. And I think that played a lot into our, or at least my decision. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yep. Like Bill said, the decision, the motion I'm going to make has to do with the police department now and going forward into the year 2018 with Lenny as the chief and Mike as the deputy chief. So with that in mind, I'm going to make a motion for Brad Stoltz to become our next lieutenant detective at the police department.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second for Brad Stoltz to be promoted to detective. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Who back there is going to make the notification?
I'll call Brad.
Okay, who's going to let the other guys know? Mike, you will let them know. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you all for all the input we had from you guys too. So, with that, I have nothing else on the agenda. You believe that? 15 items from covered. We got 45 minutes. Oh man, I thought we were flying along. Oh, we only got 10 minutes. Okay, well, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. We are adjourned.